Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to my Flosstube channel. This is Savory Sewing. You can also find me on Instagram at Savory Sewing. A Flosstube channel is a YouTube channel where folks talk about their cross stitch, what they're stitching, what they want to stitch, what they're buying to support their stitchy habit, all of those things. So if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. Today I do have a lot of stitching to show you. I have some fully finishes finally. I had a little fully finishing party last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I don't recall now. And so I have a small pile here of things that are fully finished, which I'm very excited about. I have another finish, or a finish for now, if you will, and then some whips and a few new starts. So lots of stitching that, fills the check boxes of the floss tubes. Other than that, I don't have a lot of haul, if any. I think I have one thing maybe, and plans aren't going to be super exciting in this video. Mostly it's going to be about, I think, the fully finishes, which I'm excited to show you. And yeah, so let's get into the stitching. Or actually, let's get into the fully finished objects. Because one of them I didn't actually stitch. So I'm pretty sure I showed this unfinished in my last video, because I think I fully finished it that day. Stitch X Love, so they have a sticker, so there I can show you their Instagram handle. This is their Instagram. They found a lot of small stitched pieces at a Goodwill, and they saved them, and then they offered them up on Instagram to anyone who was willing to fully finish them. The hashtag is Forgotten Finishes, so you can go see what other folks have rescued and fully finished. And this is the one that I got and FFO'd. This is a shepherd's bush pattern called Grins of Delight. Look how cute it is. Look at those googly eye buttons. They're very cute. And I made a little ornament. So this is just, mat board covered in fabric, some purple trim. This is Lady Dot Creates, and I think the color is Wizard. And just orange on the back. And this will hang on my Halloween tree. I'm very excited. So I didn't actually stitch this. We don't know who stitched these. But it came like fully stitched with all of the buttons, which are really nice. So that's FFO number 1. Again, follow Stitch X Love on Instagram or the hashtag Forgotten Finishes to see more folks who are saving these little guys and fully finishing them. The next thing is also a Halloween piece. And so in my last video, I had mentioned that I would have had a fully finish if I hadn't lost it. I found it. And it is this. This is a Hello from Liz Mathews chart. I think it's just called Boo. It was in Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, and then she released it, I believe, last fall. And I think I stitched it. I have no idea, actually. I know the fabric is Forbidden Fiber Co. And I believe the floss is all Classic Color Works, but what the colors are, I don't recall. And I just turned it into this little pillow. It's got some fabric, a piece of felt on the back. This is also Lady Dot Creates Chenille. I don't remember what color. It's just a pretty gray. And this is a very solid pillow. I filled this pillow with fabric scraps because I don't have any batting or, what's the other thing folks use? Walnut shells. So it is very solid, but that's cool with me. It stands upright. So there is that. So I got two spooky finishes to these little guys. And then the other two are flowers, although one is a little bit spooky. So the next one, this is a heart and hand pattern called Doodles Spring. So she's got a whole series of patterns that are the same size that are called Doodles. And this is stitched on, I know it's hand dyed by Rolanda. I believe it's olive, and it's stitched in all the called for Classic Color Works. And everything is exactly as is, except I lost the button. There's supposed to be a little tiny button here. I dropped it on the floor of my sewing room, and it is lost to the sewing room gods. And so it didn't get finished. It's not on there. And I'm not I think it's fine. It would be cute if it had a button, but it's fine. I found this frame on Amazon. It's just a little blue and gold frame. It's not, it was, I want to say it was less than $10. And let me tell you, the quality is probably also there. It's one of those frames that came with like the plastic instead of a glass, you know, to cover your piece if you're going to use it. I took that out and threw it away. But it is a very cute little frame. I just put a piece of scrapbook paper on the back and it just sits propped up in my house. But how cute is that? I really like the Doodles patterns. This is the only one I've stitched. I think I have the Christmas one and the Halloween one, but there are patterns for all 4 seasons, and this was my favorite of them. I don't think I'll stitch the other seasons, but someday I'd like to stitch Christmas and Halloween. Anyway, very cute. My next fully finish is probably my favorite. I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite. This was a good group of FFOs. But here, it is Poisonous Plants by the Witchy Stitcher. I think I've shown this many times as I've been finished stitching it, and I finally did bite the bullet and laced it. You can actually see my lacing on the back. I didn't put paper over this one, but I just laced it around some, honestly, I think I laced it around the cardboard that came with this frame that I got at Goodwill. So it's not like archival quality framing and lacing here, folks, but it's done and it's so beautiful. All right. Also, I'm going to be extra here and smile so I can have a picture for my thumbnail, because look how beautiful these are. They're thumbnail worthy, right? Totally thumbnail worthy. All right. So those are all my FFOs. I'm pretty psyched to have all of those done, which probably means, given that you got 4 this week, you're not going to see any more FFOs for a hot minute, but you never know. I might get inspired. All right, so let's go to finishes. I only have one. Oh, I have one more FFO. I forgot I put it up here. So this was actually a finish and an FFO. So I'm going to put a picture of the whole pattern here because I decided I wasn't going to finish it. This is Butterfly Wall by Night Spirit Studio. And I started this last summer. Folks were stitching in support of Sage, the designer behind Night Spirit Studio, because she was having some health issues. And so there was hashtag Stitch for Sage. I purchased and started this pattern, and I love this pattern. But I made an error in judgment when I started stitching it, and when I pulled it out to work on it this month, I realized I didn't like the way it was going. So if you do want to see a beautiful version of this that is fully finished in a super cool frame, the Nightshade Needleworker, I think her name is Mindy, shows it in like Flosstube 1 or Flosstube 2. I just binged all of her floss tubes in the last 2 weeks. She's got some really cool, I think she also stitched Poisonous Plants, and her name is the Nightshade Needleworker, so she's into like plants and witchy things and mushrooms and all of that. So that aesthetic is very much alive and well on her channel. Also Stardew Valley theme music. So gotta love that. So anyway, let me show you what I did because it is done. So here's my finish. I stitched this on, I have no idea actually. The fabric, I have no idea. I didn't write it down. It is a beige linen. It's stitched with all the called for DMC. And I stitched it 1/2, and therein is the problem. I don't think it looks, I didn't like the way it looked. I think this pattern actually is one of those ones that lends as well to very good coverage. And so I had, I think I had the outlines of like all of these boxes done, and this is like the middle, of the pattern, like here, I think. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna finish these ones I started, and I'll put it in a little square frame. And as you can see, I've made this little faux shadow box thing, which I think looks kind of cool. I don't know. I did that thing where you pull the threads, and then I actually used pins like you'd use for pinning your piece. And then I had this little thing, which this butterfly happens to look just like that butterfly. And so I think it kind of looks like, Well, it looks like one of these butterflies in a frame, and then it's the butterflies, the framed butterflies in a frame with a tag. So does that make sense? So that's my other finish and fully finished. And so now this is no longer a whip that I'm slightly disappointed in. And now I think it's super cute, and it's going to go live next to my carnivorous terrarium piece, because I think they kind of, you know, we got some, is this a death face moth? Is that what they're called? I'm not a bug person, folks. So I never know what they're called. And so I think that will look really cool together. So anyway, that's my other fully finished. So no, so I did have five FFOs, folks. I think that's a new record. I'm gonna stick this back up here. All right, now finishes, just normal-ish finishes. And I say normal-ish because it's a finish for now, because it is a motif on a sampler for a stitch along. So as many of you probably know, because I talk about it on my channel, I am stitching the Stitch for Pride 2024 spot motif sampler that Dee's 20 Stitches is designing and putting out monthly. And they are designing motifs based on various queer artists. So every month you have a different artist. And there's a piece of learning to go with them. And so here is, here's the whole thing. I'll show you the whole thing. This is the whole sampler so far, so January through May. And then this month's piece is that one right there, which is, yes, that is barbed wire. And the artist's name is Yishe Garbash, and she is a trans woman artist who lives in Berlin, and I think she's also a photographer, and she does some really cool art. Oh gosh, I just wrote this down and now I've forgotten it again, around trauma and generational trauma and all stuff like that. And so that's where the barbed wire came from. Yeah, so it's looking really great so far. I'm stitching this on fabric by Fortnite Fabrics called Elegant, and I'm stitching it with all of the flosses that were dyed by Knitting Nurse Yasmin, K&N Yarns, for the stitch along. I was lucky enough to get a floss pack. So that's my finish. Now we've got whips upon whips, because I don't know, I was very all over the place this month. I know a lot of folks, some folks do monogamous May. I was definitely non-monogamous in my stitching this month. I'm not sure I stitched on anything for more than 2 days, with the exception of maybe the Stitch for Pride piece. I think it might have taken me 3 stitchy sessions to get that done. Everything else didn't get 3 days. So, but that's okay. In May, I made a goal to touch all of my works in progress or whips that were garden or flower themed. So you're going to see a lot of flowers in this pile, because I have a lot of this. All right, so the first one, I'll pop a picture in here. This is by Yasmin's Made with Love, and it's called The Key to Growth. And I really like this pattern. I mean, I wouldn't have stitched it otherwise, I suppose. Oops, all right, I got little threads everywhere. And here's where I am. Here are my flosses. So I'm stitching this with Roxy Flosco flosses. It is actually charted in Roxy Flosco flosses. However, I am not using the charted flosses. I am using ones that I pulled from my stash that are similar in color and tone. And so here are all the flosses. This is 36 count vintage country mocha. I think it's looking really beautiful. I really like stitching this. I really like Yasmin's Made with Love. Is there an S in there? Yes. I really like her style. I've only stitched a few of her pieces, but I really like her style. So there's one whip. That did get 2 days. And it's just really coming along beautifully. I really like, I'm going to show you again. Ooh, I really like how the colors in the base. Oh my god, sorry, folks. The pile of whips on my lap are sliding. I really like how the blues and the yellows and the grays and that are coming out so far. I don't know if you can really see that. It's super pretty. Very, very pretty. All right. Whip number 2 is a project I've been working on for a while. I believe this is a 2021 or a 2022 whip. This is one of my older whips, but it's also a very large piece. I'll put a picture in. This has Come to the Garden by Teresa Kogut. I really love this, and the more I stitch on it, the more I love it. And then I'm like, why did I stitch on this more? And then I should stitch on it more. It has gotten a lot of love though this year because it was on my WhipGo board and it's already been called twice. So it's gotten a decent amount of love so far in 2024. And so I got two more days, I think, this month. And here's where I am. I'll back up, come close. What I worked on this month was this big flower here, which is now complete. And I worked on bringing up this border here and then filling in some random stitches I'd missed down there. Like I think I hadn't had like all of the dots in the middle of these flowers. Like there's just some little fiddly bits that I'm not going to get out a new thread color just for 3 stitches, but I'll wait and do, 6 of those flowers at one time. So here's a close up. Oh, it's so pretty. This is where the crease in the fabric is. That is the middle of the pattern. So I still have the whole top bit to do. But super pretty. Maybe I'll get it done this year. I don't know. I will say, I love stitching on this fabric. This is Affogato by Fiber on a Whim, I think. Is that right? Hang on, let me click on. Yeah, this is 36 count Affogato from Fiber on a Whim. And this actually might be like my favorite piece of linen to stitch on. It is just, the holes are just nice. Like I have a lot of 36 counts from various other dyers and they're not bad, but there's just something about this. And I don't know if it's the color. I don't know what it is. I just really like it. And I'm stitching it with all the called for flosses, which are a combination of fancy floss and DMC. All right. Next in the pile is, oh, I don't remember how I piled these, so it's like a surprise to me too. It's Oona Owl. Look at her. I'll put a picture in. So this is Artsy Housewife, Oona Owl. And I'm stitching her 1/1 on 25 count. So that's why she's in this hoop, because I can't stitch 1/1 on 25 count in hand. Usually I stitch in hand. Look at her little face. And so I'm stitching the owl, all in Classic Colorworks. There were some other overdyes. I subbed those out for Classic Colorworks. And so I think like for example, this Wild Berries is not called for, but it's very close to the called for. Wow, look how cute she is. I'm very happy. I had tried to stitch something else 1/1 on 25 count last year or the year before, and I did it in hand and my stitches were awful and they kept slipping. And so I decided to try doing this in a hoop, and I can. So it'll be nice to have her be so cute and tiny. And she has her in her little owl project bag. Look at those little owls. Super cute. All right. Throw her back in there. Next, I pulled out my Dark Queen again, I think. I know I showed her last time. If I showed her last time and haven't worked on her and you're seeing this again, I'm sorry. I know I did. I thought I did more backstitching since I last filmed, but now I can't remember. But I did do, if not, well, regardless, she's beautiful and she deserves to be seen. What I remember working on was finishing the backstitching and starting the backstitching down in her legs. And so I did her feet. Oh my, see, they look, I will say close up, I do not like her feet at all, but on camera, I think they look much cooler. And then I started backstitching the skirt. The whole skirt has backstitching. And so I think once I finish the skirt, all the backstitching is done and then I'll bead. So it's actually not as much as I thought left, which is good. But how gorgeous is she? She's stitched with all the called for DMC. This is fabric by Fabrics by Under the Sea Fabrics, who dyed this fabric for the stitch along. And also Jen from Jen's Fiber Web just finished all of her beading as well, and hers looks super cool. She did the dark skin, but then did a different head, and hers doesn't have hair, and hers looks super cool bald. I like it. I saw that they're planning on doing another Dark Queen starting in 2025. I don't know if I will stitch it. It will depend on what the theme is. Like I haven't stitched the Under the Sea one, and I won't. But if it's something, I think I heard it might be like fire or something. It's fire. I probably won't stitch it. But I don't know, what is there other than earth and sea? Sky? A Dark Queen of the Sky might be cool. Anyway, I don't know. We shall see. Okay, next. Yeah, see, there's still like 5 more. There's like 5 more whips and then some new starts in this pile. Okay, so next I stitched on Moonglow. It is Mira May. I don't know if Nora carpets count for Mira Bay. Do they? Are there rules, folks, to this? But anyway, I worked on Moonglow. I will also put a picture in here. This I'm stitching with Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe and Allie Z is Crafty and Katie the Peacock Stitcher. Hashtag, what is our hashtag, ladies? Moonglow Magic Sale. Whoa. Yeah, my brain just glitched there hard. And then I was watching a FlossTuber, Creative Lee, which is a very cool FlossTube name. Like if I had a last name like Lee, or first name like Lee, like I appreciate that. That's not a pun. I don't know what that is in terms of like grammar, but I enjoy I enjoy that you're creative. I enjoy that. Anyway, she's also stitching it, and I think I just saw it on her Instagram, and she's stitching it on the called for fabric, which is it looks really pretty. I only had the 8. I think she's using the linen. It looks really nice. And I don't know where I'm going with that story, except that I know. She's stitching it as part of a hashtag Embrace the Fold Sal, which I think another number of folks had stitched started her like a couple years ago using that. And so there are some really beautiful ones using that hashtag on Instagram as well. If Instagram search works for you, there's some really cool ones that folks are using that hashtag for. That's how I found Creatively. But would you like to see my stitching? Maybe. Oh, goodness gracious. I am almost done with the blanket. I got all the way across. I think I worked all the way up here. I just need to fill in. I just need to fill in the flowers, and it's 1 shade of DMC, and so I figured I would just go and do all of them at the same time with that DMC. I'm stitching this on Hand Dyed by Rolanda Olive. This is the same color, actually, isn't it? No. Oh, it is. This is the same color that Bloom is stitched or stitched on. These are the same fabric. It's a really pretty color. 28 count linen. And I'm stitching with all the called for, which are a combination of DMC and Karen water lilies. And here are the water lilies. You can see I actually haven't even used all of them yet because I haven't gotten up to the leaves. These are all the ones that are in the blanket. Super pretty. All right. Next in the pile is one of my WhipGo projects for this month. So WhipGo is like bingo for your whips. You make a board, numbers get called, you do the things on the board where those numbers are. And some people do put finishes on there. Some people put new starts on there. Some people just put their whips on there. Your board, your rules. And this month I had 2 projects called. 13 was also called, which is the free space. Or, well, can be the free space. It's free space on my board, so I'm not stitching anything for number 13. But this is Midnight Magic by Stitchrovia. This was also called last month. And all I got done on the one night I spent on her was I started working on this little witch down here. And so you can see they're little striped tights. They've got some stripes in them. So this will get 2 more days this month. And then it will get checked off for May WhipGo. So I guess that is one of my plans, is this will get 2 more days. If I did not put a picture in, which I know I didn't, I will put one in now. This is in a magazine and also available on Emma Congdon's website. It was in, I think, the October issue, 21 issue of like Cross Stitcher magazine, but you can now buy the PDF. My next project is by Michelle from Bendy Stitchy. I'll put a picture in here. This is Rappaccini's Quaker. This was a market release this year, and had also been in a Starlight Stitchery box, Poison Garden box, which I think Poisonous Plants by the Witchy Stitcher was also in that box. And then I think I have 1 or 2 other patterns. So I'm really regretting missing out on that box. But I've managed to buy the patterns that I wanted and have stitched some of them so far. So this is where I am so far. That is upside down. This is where I am so far. I started in the bottom right corner, and I'm working my way across. And this is a fabric by Forbidden Fiber Co. It's called Resolution. It was, I think, the January fabric of the month this year. And it's 36 count linen. I am stitching this with all of the called for Classic Colorworks flosses. And so I think those are all the colors. And I really love this. I'm gonna give you a close-up. I don't know if you can see, there's a whole ton of back stitching on these white flower motifs. And then there's gonna be French knots as well. I might beat it. I haven't decided yet. But I'm gonna stitch the whole thing first. I think on one of Michelle's floss tubes, she mentioned like the number of French knots that are in here, and it's a painful sounding number. So we'll see. But I'm also decided already that I'm going to fully finish mine as a drum. I mean, you can't see anything. Like, it's going to look like this, guys. It's going to look like a drum. And so whenever I get it done, oh, isn't that fabric beautiful? I have like the rest of the fat quarter left, and I don't know what I'm going to stitch on it, but look how beautiful it is. All right. Those are, actually, no, there's one more whip, folks. One more. Maybe there weren't a lot. It feels like a lot to me. The last thing that I worked on, I'll put a picture in because this is a PDF pattern. This is by Owl Forest Embroidery. This is Autumn Flowers. I am stitching this on 16 count Ada by Mystic Fabrics in the color Please Scream Inside Your Heart, which is the best fabric color name ever. And I'm stitching with all the called for Owl Forest flosses. I bought the floss pack. I started this several years ago, back when it was much easier and less expensive to get those flosses from Russia. But look how beautiful it is. I stitched on this for Owl Forest Friday, which was started by Alize's Crafty and some other floss tubers. So I've now participated twice. I'm very proud of myself. And this is about a quarter of the pattern. Like this is the center. This green leafy guy. That's the middle. So not quite there. This is gonna take a hot minute to finish. This is also on my Whip Go board twice this year, I think, and it has not been called yet. So it will get some more love. So, okay, now that's all my whips. Now let's talk about new starts. I have 3. I was trying to keep my whips under a manageable. Well, I arbitrarily decided that I was allowed to have a number. I wanted to keep my whip number less than my age, which is convenient because my age goes up every year, right? We are currently over my age. All right. This is my first new start since I saw you last. Excuse me. This is, sorry, too much talking. Greenhouse of Oddities by Lola Crow Cross Stitch. This was the stitch along that she hosted last year. And I jumped on the bandwagon late and decided I was going to start this year. This is where I am. I started with the corpse flower in the middle. Because if you're not stitching along and you have the whole pattern, you can do whatever you want. I did not feel like starting with that frame. So I decided just to do a center start, and I'm just going to stitch what I want when I want. Isn't it, I mean, I barely have all the stitches in, and look how pretty it is. This is a 16 count Ada. This is Picture This Plus Alchemy. And there's not much else exciting to say about it. It was one of my planned May new starts. In May, at the beginning of the year, I plotted out 2 new starts, so for each month, so for 24 new starts in 2024, and this was one of them. And my other one for May, which I showed last time, which I haven't worked on since last time, was Silk Garden by Miriam of Marumi Crafts, Marumi Designs. Next in the pile is a stitch along that is Jen from Jen's Fiberwebs Fall. This is by, I'm going to put the name on the board because I honestly I can't say it right. This person. And this is the Forest Fairytale Sale, or it's the Fairytale Forest Sale. That will also be written here. And the picture of this, like this. I mean, it's a stitch along that it hasn't been released yet, so I'll put a picture of something here. And this is where I am. Again, very, very unexciting. I've not gotten much done. All that is released, which hopefully I just showed you, is the bottom, all the way across the bottom, and then like black lines that basically go up. So I'm stitching mine on Lugana 32 count. This is by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, and the color is Autumn. I think it's called Autumn Breeze. It was a fabric of the month, and this only has 3 colors in it. Charted, a black 310, and then I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see. Hold on. It has 310, and then 900 burnt orange, and then a green, which the called for is this one. Pretty sure it was this one. And I think I'm going to sub in this one. It's a little dirtier. But yeah, I picked this piece of fabric kind of because of the burnt orange. I thought that would look nice on the screen. So there is that. So the border was released, I want to say on like May 8th, maybe last week. And I think the first drop of the rest of the next piece is like on the 22nd. So I will hopefully keep up with that, but who knows? I wasn't going to join any more stitch alongs or have any more impulse starts. And then that happened. And then also the Witchy Stitcher happened. So I know I showed this in my last video. But I was going to start Leave Me Alone, I'm Cross Stitching by the Witchy Stitcher. And there was a hashtag Leave Me Alone Sal. And so Erin from Cozy Town Stitches, also part of the Flosstube channel, Hathaway Stitchers, Caroline from Caroline Stitch Corner, and Alex from what did you just change your name to? Salix Stitches. And I all started this, and we're all stitching on different colors. I'm stitching mine on purple, which shocker. This is Witch's Brew by XJU Designs. And so far, that's just a variegated black. I'm going to stitch it, I think, the rest with the called for DMC. I didn't want to use 310 because I didn't use 310 on my other pieces that I've stitched on this, and I want them all to kind of go. Alex is stitching hers on blue, Amity is stitching hers on white, and Caroline is stitching hers on like mushroom Lugana. So it's like a variegated mushroomy tan beige color. So they all look super good. And I think I saw someone else on Instagram also stitching theirs on blue, and it looks, I would never have guessed blue, or never have picked blue. It looks awesome on blue. But I will be working on this. And yes, I did intentionally just stitch Leave Me Alone so I could get the picture for Instagram. Sorry, not sorry. So I managed to start three new stitch along pieces. I guess Greenhouse of Oddities doesn't really count as a stitch along anymore because it's over, but I was going to be good and I wasn't, but that's okay. All right. That was all my stitching, which that was a lot of pieces. I should count, but I'm not going to. Let's move on to haul and plans. I have very little haul. The only thing I got was my fabric of the month from Bestitch Me. If you haven't seen it, look away. It's called Mermaid. And I actually realized I have no fabric this color. Still got these big kind of like splotchy things in it that I'm not sure. You know, if you pay, depending on where you place your piece, those could be really, you know, strategically used. But yeah, I don't have any fabric this color, so that's actually kind of nice because this isn't a color that I gravitate to. And now I have some. Okay. That's all the haul. I guess I technically did purchase the Forest Fairytale Stitch Along pattern, so that kind of counts as haul. But plans. So my plans are I will finish my Whip Go goals, which is 2 more days on Midnight Magic, which I just showed you. And then the other Whip Go call for this month was this piece, which I know I showed in my last video. I call it Vintage Ladies. I don't know what it's really called. And I'll show you where I am on it. Stitching this with the called for DMC. And this is Cherry Blossom Lugana by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. And so this will get 3 days. I'll probably start working on it on the 24th and do sort of a Christmas stitching 24, 25, 26 like I did last month. Because last month also my Christmas piece, one of my Christmas pieces was called for Whip Go. And I just need to get this other lady in and that big rug. Other than that, I would like to finish the border for Forest Fairytale and then work on the next drop, which will come out next week. I have, I think, 2 or 3 more whips that have flowers on them that I haven't touched yet. I'd like for them to each get 1 day. And other than that, I don't really have any concrete plans for the rest of the month. My next video hopefully will drop on June 2nd, so I'll talk about June on that video. But May's hopefully going to be pretty chill, and I don't think I'm going to get anything finished. Everything I have is kind of big. That's in progress, and if I'm well behaved, I won't have any more new starts. But we know how that goes. We know how that goes. Other things that I have, let's see, Flosstubers I've been watching. I mentioned the Nightshade Needleworker. I just binged all of her videos. She used to have a different Instagram name, which I can't recall now. But I was confused. But she changed her name recently. Her Flosstube used to have a different name, and her Instagram had a different name. But now they all have the same name. So I had been following her on Instagram, but didn't put the Flosstube thing together. Sometimes I realize I start watching folks on Flosstube, and then realize I've been following them on Instagram for like forever and didn't figure it out. Sometimes the Instagram algorithm often doesn't, you know, show you the things to know that folks have posted videos or even have videos, and it just, I always feel like I'm out of the loop, and then I realize I'm gonna blame the algorithm, right? I also have been watching Sarah from I Swear I Am Stitching. She has a lovely Flosstube. She's also doing something super cool for May, and she's doing Mental Health Mania, where she's stitching, she has a mental health themed start, which is really beautiful. If I can remember to put the picture in, I will put it here. And then she shared, you know, some of her mental health struggles on her Flosstube, which was really nice. I know a lot of folks don't like to use the word mania anymore because of the connotations, the negative connotations around mental health. And so I like that she's like made it something different. You know, some people won't, you if you're saying mayhem now or just using May, which is totally cool. And so I've been watching her. And then all of the usual suspects. Trying to think if there's anything else I remember particularly interesting on FlossTube in the last 2 weeks, but I mostly just am trying to keep up, like I think everybody else is, because there's too much FlossTube, which is good, but also bad. In life updates, as I've said previously, it is garden season. I'm going to put some flower pictures in here for you all to enjoy while I continue to babble at you. Everything is starting to bloom, and I'm trying to get all the stuff I started into the ground. My goal is to have everything that I started from seed planted by the end of the month, because then I can just watch them grow in the garden. I usually start, I think I started like 50 sunflowers, a whole bunch of cosmos, some zinnias. We're probably moving in the next year or so, so I'm trying not to spend a lot of money on perennials and just starting seeds, so I still have the color, but I don't, it's less expensive basically, and it's still pretty. My lupins are going crazy right now. Oh my goodness, I swear one of them is like 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. I'll put some pictures in. My puppy very desperately would like to catch a bee. He is not fast enough to catch a bee, but that doesn't stop him from trying, and he gets very excited, and he like laser focuses on them, and right now the little bees are just like hopping from lupin flower to lupin flower, and it's very cute. And so I've been watching him try unsuccessfully to catch a bee. I also don't really want him to get stung, although Ryan's like, so wants a cute, is it cute? But you know, you see the pictures with the puppies with the fat mouths, fat lips, because they've got stung. It's kind of cute, but I'm like, no, he'll be fine. And now I'm just rambling. So I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you all have a great rest of your month and lots of good stitching. If you're a gardener, I hope you're out there getting your nails dirty, and all of your stuff came back and survived the winter. It's always fun, isn't it? And we're like, oh, there was a plant there. Not anymore. So with that, happy stitching, folks. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.